Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary stands isolated in San Francisco Bay, known as America's most secure prison. Frank Morris, a career criminal with exceptional intelligence, arrives at Alcatraz after multiple escapes. Security protocols at Alcatraz are meticulous with comprehensive screening before cell assignment for inmates. Morris is assigned to cell Block B, housing general population inmates in individual secure cells. Each cell measures 5 by 9 feet, containing only basic necessities: bed, toilet, and small sink. Meals are served 3 times daily in the communal dining hall under constant armed supervision. Morris meets Litmus, a longtime inmate who keeps a pet mouse hidden in his cell for companionship. Despite strict regulations, prisoners find ways to maintain small connections to the outside world's normalcy. Not all inmates welcome newcomers. Wolf, a violent prisoner, immediately targets Morris with threatening intimidation. That first night, Morris lies awake, contemplating his new environment and the challenges ahead. A guard interrupts his rest, informing Morris that the warden has requested an immediate meeting. Warden Johnson welcomes Morris personally, but his message is clear: escape from Alcatraz is impossible. The warden explains that freezing water temperatures and deadly currents make swimming to shore fatal. As Morris leaves the meeting, he quietly steals the warden's metal nail clipper, his first tool. Morris conceals the clipper inside a hollowed book, understanding small tools could prove invaluable later. Wolf confronts Morris violently in the showers, attempting to establish dominance through physical intimidation. Morris responds decisively, demonstrating he won't be anyone's victim. Wolf retreats bloodied, but not deterred. Morris is assigned library duty, where he meets English, an educated lifer who runs prisoner affairs. English has accepted permanent residence at Alcatraz. He's made peace with never leaving these walls. Morris distributes reading material throughout cell blocks, studying the prison's layout during his rounds. In the exercise yard, Morris encounters Doc, a talented artist serving time for manslaughter charges. Doc's paintings feature a recurring chrysanthemum flower, symbolizing freedom and beauty he cannot access. Doc warns Morris that Wolf's violent nature makes him extremely dangerous, with inevitable retaliation coming. Morris asks English about previous escape attempts. English confirms many tried, but all failed or died. English explains 3 barriers: internal security, armed guards patrolling constantly, and treacherous bay waters. Despite warnings, Morris becomes increasingly determined. His brilliant mind begins formulating escape possibilities. The next morning, Morris receives carpentry shop work assignment, earning 19 cents per hour. Morris casually questions Litmus about prison construction, specifically ventilation systems and structural weaknesses. Litmus mentions each cell has an air vent leading to utility corridors, but they're too small. Wolf makes his move during recreation time, pulling a makeshift blade and advancing with murderous intent. Doc spots the weapon and shouts warning, giving Morris precious seconds to react and defend himself. Morris disarms Wolf and beats him severely. Guards intervene with force, separating both before fatal injuries. Both prisoners are sent to D-block isolation, where dangerous inmates endure harsh disciplinary confinement. Morris endures 10 brutal days in isolation, where physical discipline and psychological pressure break prisoners. After isolation punishment, Morris returns to his regular cell, more determined than ever to escape. A new prisoner named Charlie Butts arrives, assigned to the cell directly adjacent to Morris's. Butts and Morris discover common ground. Both intelligent, desperate for freedom, willing to risk everything. During routine cell inspections, The warden examines every prisoner's possessions for contraband or escape tools. Doc has painted a flattering portrait of Warden Johnson, who admires it with obvious satisfaction and vanity. The next day, the warden cruelly orders all Doc's artwork confiscated, stripping away his only joy. Doc falls into deep depression. His artwork was his lifeline, his only escape from imprisonment reality. Unable to cope with his loss, Doc makes a horrifying decision in the carpentry shop that morning. Doc brutally mutilates his own hand, severing 3 fingers. Without his art, he no longer needs them. Morris finds Doc's painted flower in his pocket, a final gift symbolizing hope and plea to escape. Morris delivers Doc's fingers to a guard with a message for the warden. "Congratulations, you won." That evening, Morris notices a cockroach squeezing through a tiny crack in his cell's ventilation grate. This observation sparks an idea. If small creatures can navigate these passages, perhaps humans could too. Morris befriends 2 brothers, Clarence and John Anglin, recently transferred with 20-year sentences each. The 4 men begin cautiously discussing possibilities. All share the same desperate desire, freedom at cost. Morris begins carefully studying his cell's air vent, noting deteriorating concrete surrounding the metal grate. Using the stolen nail clipper, Morris begins painstaking process of chipping away decades-old concrete nightly. Charlie serves as lookout, watching for guards during their rounds while Morris works in silence. Morris devises a clever scheme to acquire better tools by dirtying his eating utensil deliberately. While Clarence distracts the kitchen guard with questions, Morris steals 2 metal spoons from containers. Morris hides 1 spoon in his pocket while displaying the other, successfully bypassing metal detector security. When English makes his book delivery rounds, Morris seizes opportunity to ask a crucial technical question. Morris inquires about joining metal pieces together. English questions the purpose but provides the information. Morris promises Litmus he'll play his favorite song on accordion if Litmus provides 1 quarter coin. Using a match flame and the quarter as solder, Morris welds a spoon handle to Clipper's base. The result is a crude but functional digging tool, far more effective than the nail clipper alone. With his improved tool, Morris makes significantly faster progress excavating concrete around the ventilation grate. Exhaustion overcomes Charlie during his watch. He briefly dozes off, leaving Morris vulnerable to discovery. A guard begins his regular patrol down the cell block, flashlight scanning each cell systematically. Charlie jolts awake just in time, quickly signaling Morris with their prearranged warning before discovery occurs. Morris barely manages to conceal his work and appear asleep before guard's flashlight illuminates his cell. The guard notices a burnt smell from Morris's welding work. He questions it but ultimately moves on. Behind the concrete, Morris discovers thick metal screws securing the vent his makeshift tools cannot remove. Morris realizes he needs better tools. The carpentry shop where he works contains everything necessary. He spots a small metal shim that would be perfect for unscrewing the vent bolt from inside. Morris attempts to smuggle out, but the metal detector alarm sounds immediately, alerting the guard. Morris quickly explains he needs it for a clothing hook. The guard confiscates it, but Morris smiles. The guard doesn't realize Morris actually stole 2 shims with the second cleverly hidden in shoe. Back in his cell, Morris uses the concealed shim to successfully remove the screws holding vent grate. The grate comes free, revealing a narrow passageway leading into the prison's utility corridor infrastructure. Meanwhile, John Anglin works on his own cell's vent, making similar progress with tools Morris acquired. Clarence constructs realistic dummy heads from papier-mâché, magazines, and paint to fool guards during checks. Using real hair stolen from the barber shop, the dummies appear remarkably convincing in dim lighting. Morris requests painting supplies through official channels, ostensibly for artwork, but actually for realistic dummies. For the first time, Morris removes his vent completely and squeezes through into utility corridor behind. He positions the dummy head on his pillow, covers it with blankets, creating a convincing sleep illusion. Morris installs a fake vent cover he constructed, which appears completely normal when viewed from inside. Behind the cells, Morris climbs a vertical pipe shaft, carefully ascending toward the prison's roof access. A guard checks Morris's cell during rounds. The dummy works perfectly. He sees nothing suspicious, continues on. At the corridor's top, Morris encounters a locked ventilation shaft grill too high to reach alone. He attempts jumping to reach it, but fails. This barrier requires a different approach and assistance. Morris descends, carefully memorizing the route. He knows the path, but also understands he cannot proceed alone. The same guard returns unexpectedly. Charlie signals frantically as Morris rushes to get back into his cell. The guard examines Morris's cell more carefully, this time noticing something odd about the prisoner's hair. Just as the guard reaches to investigate, Morris slides into place and responds normally to greeting. The next morning at breakfast, Morris briefs his team on the route obstacles and needed coordination. He explains the ceiling grill cannot be reached alone. John volunteers to accompany him, providing the boost. Clarence is tasked with stealing raincoats from the laundry facility to construct an inflatable raft. John works in the prison barber shop, surreptitiously collecting real human hair for making dummies convincing. Charlie continues serving as lookout, maintaining watch schedules and alert systems to protect the operation. That night, Morris and John navigate the utility corridor together, working as a team towards ceiling obstacle. John braces himself and lifts Morris higher, providing the elevation needed to finally reach the problematic grill. Morris discovers the grill is welded shut with thick metal, needing a cutting tool beyond what's available. During music practice the following day, Morris spots a small ventilation fan with potentially useful motor inside. He convinces Litmus to help distract guards while he hides the fan motor inside his accordion case. At the exit, guards inspect all instruments. Morris claims his belongings are in Charlie's case, avoiding inspection. Back in his cell, Morris disassembles the motor and modifies it into a crude but functional drill. They return to the grill that night and begin drilling. The noise is risky, but they work quickly. A guard hears the drilling and investigates, shining his flashlight upward into the utility spaces above. Morris and John freeze behind pipes, remaining absolutely still until the guard gives up and moves on. They complete cutting through the grill. Access to the roof is now possible, the hardest barrier overcome. At the next movie screening, Morris informs the group that all preparations are complete for Monday's escape. Morris places Doc's flower on the table in remembrance. The warden cruelly crushes it underfoot, showing contempt. Litmus, overcome with grief and rage, attacks the warden, physically defending Doc's memory with desperate violence. The stress triggers a heart attack. Litmus dies on the dining hall floor, another victim of this place. That evening, English delivers books, as usual. He and Morris shake hands, both understanding tonight is escape. Unexpectedly, the warden conducts a surprise inspection of Morris's cell, threatening to derail everything at last moment. The warden moves Morris's suitcase, which sits directly before the fake vent cover, nearly exposing everything. Miraculously, the warden doesn't notice the fake vent. He leaves commenting Morris seems suspicious lately to guards. The warden orders the guard to separate Morris and butts tomorrow, moving them to different cell blocks. Wolf approaches Morris at breakfast with a final threat tonight. He'll finish what he started months ago. Morris makes the decision. They go tonight several days earlier than planned. It's now or never for all. English stops Wolf's knife attack in a corridor, giving Morris one last chance to make it to freedom. That night, Morris, John, and Clarence navigate the utility passages with their dummy heads deployed in cells. Charlie suffers a panic attack and cannot force himself to leave. Fear paralyzes him at the critical moment. The three men reach the shore, inflate their makeshift raft from raincoats, and disappear into San Francisco Bay.